Okay, in this video, I will be talking about strings in Python. So to create a simple string, you need to type out the name of your string. In this case, I'm going to call my name my string. Set it equal to your string. I'm going to use single quotes. You could use double quotes. I'm going to say Kevin is not a robot. Okay, so that's how you make a simple string. And then there might be cases where you have a long string that you want to have a one-liner, but you need to type it out in more than one line. I'm going to call this a long string. Okay, you might type something, and then you're going to use a slash character, and then continue on to your second line. And then maybe you have a multi-line string where you want your strings to take up more than one lines. So I'm going to call this multi-line string. Here you need to use the triple quotes, double or single, and then inside you could type whatever your content is. As you can see here, I have very meaningful content. And you can also do it a second way using escape characters. So I'm going to call this multi-line string 2. So here you would use just one quote and you type something, but now you need to add your slash n to tell it that it's a new line. And then you have another slash character to continue on typing to the second line. So we're going to double check this to confirm the output by putting a breakpoint. Gonna run it to debug in Python. And if you come here to the debug console, I could type out long string, for example. You could see that this is a long string as we expected. That's taking up only one line. You could look at the multi-line string. So here you can see that it's actually two strings. If you want to make the output pretty, you could actually print it out. You could actually see the format applied. So here you can see it's actually 2 lines. So that's the multi-line string for the method 1 using triple quotes. And then you confirm the second method, which is using the escape character /n. Okay, so that's how you handle lines for multiple line strings. And then there might be cases where you want to concatenate, or not concatenate, you want to take out certain sections of your strings, for example. So actually, I'm going to go back to debug again. So you have, maybe you just want to see certain parts of the string, like a subsection, a substring inside your string, or just certain characters. So you could do my string 0, then you could see the first character. Our string is 0 index, so the first one is 0, so it prints out the k. You could find out different character. The 10th character is going to be an O, and so on. Maybe you want to get a range of letters, so you might do something like 0 to 3. That will be the first 3 characters. So it'll be 0, 1, 2, and stop right before the third. So that's how you would read this. And then, you could also start, it doesn't have to start at 0. You could start at 5. If you do 5 colon and then nothing at the end, it'll go by default to the last string, last character in your string. So 5 to the end. It'll say it's not a robot. And then likewise, you could do something similar where the first number here is going to be blank, and then you just have the last one. So it's going to be first to the 5th, and it's going to be Kevin. Okay, so we're going to have a special string here called the truth. So here we're going to talk about how to concatenate strings. So maybe you have 2 substrings that you want to combine together. You would use a plus symbol. So we're going to have a string called my truth, and we're going to concatenate 0 to 8 plus my string from 9 plus 3, because I'm going to skip 3 characters after the 9th one, and then to the end. And as you can see, what is the truth? The truth is Kevin is a robot. All right, so that's up to you guys to decide what's the truth or not. Okay, so after that, we're gonna talk about when you're dealing with strings. Strings actually have a lot of different functions that's associated with it. We'll go more into functions later, but for now, just take functions as something with input that you give, and then it'll have an output. You could actually have up to 0 inputs, but just don't worry too much about it. We'll just see what the different functions that strings have can do for us. So typically you have my string, and if you type the dot character, you could see all the functions that's available for us. So we'll just go over some of these functions here. You can look it up if you need to see what each one does, but we'll just go over some of the more popular ones that you might need. So here we're going to start, we're looking at the split function. So we're going to define a max split number here, which is the maximum number of characters we want to split in our string. So we could do a my string dot split, for example. So actually, I'm gonna run this in my debugger. So we go to debug console. We could see, I'm gonna print out my string dot split. So by default, it will assume that any delimiter between the words, so in this case, it finds spaces as the delimiter, so it'll space it out. So my string dot split will split out all the characters. And it's inside a list, so in case you want to get certain characters or words out of your string, you could pull it out. So that's a split character, and then you have another one actually called the R split. So you have R split, and in this case, none just means it'll take any delimiter as the spacing between your words. And I have a max split parameter, which I defined as 2. So you can see here, it'll split from the right side. So the end of my string, so robot A, and then Kevin is not. So it only split the last 2 characters. Okay, so we also have other functions, for example, like count. So you could have Kevin, for example. You have Kevin here, and then this will show you how many times Kevin appears inside the string. You have different things like my string dot, for example, you could do is decimal. So you could see if your string is a decimal character. So here is decimal says false. You could check if your string is upper. So my string dot upper changes your whole string to all capitalize. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have other functions you want to look at, you could type in the dot, and then you could see all the different methods you want to try out. Okay, so that will be all for strings, and see you in the next one.